Every day, we watch them fall. The kind ones. The honest ones. The ones who give without thought of return. The selfless helpers and gentle souls. You know these people. Perhaps you are one of them. Look around and witness the pattern. Those who extend their hands are often left reaching into the void, while those who clench their fists seem to hold the world within their grip. It's the paradox that haunts our moral intuition. Why do those who deserve the most seem to receive the least? Why does virtue so often go unrewarded, while ruthlessness collects its spoils? You've felt it, haven't you? That quiet bewilderment when your generosity is met with exploitation. The confusion when your honesty becomes a liability. The strange shame of being too good for a world that praises power. Perhaps you've sacrificed your needs for others, only to find yourself depleted. Or spoken truth when lies would have served you better. Or forgiven when you should have fought back. This is not merely bad luck. It is not coincidence. It is a fundamental tension in the human condition that Friedrich Nietzsche identified over a century ago. The noble soul gives as it takes, prompted by the passionate and sensitive instinct of requital, which lies in the depths of the soul. But Nietzsche saw with piercing clarity what many good people learned too late. This world does not operate according to our moral ideals. Our goodness creates vulnerabilities that others instinctively exploit. He warned that those who embrace conventional morality without question become domesticated animals, creatures who have forgotten their own power in service of a system that may not serve them. His message was not that goodness itself is the problem. Rather, it is unconscious goodness, morality without awareness, that leads the virtuous to their downfall. Nietzsche challenged us to examine the foundations of our moral instincts, to question whether our goodness comes from strength or from weakness, from choice or from fear. The good person often suffers not because goodness itself is a flaw, but because their goodness lacks the steel of discernment. It lacks boundaries. It lacks the wisdom to recognize when virtue becomes victimhood. Those who consistently lose despite their moral superiority have confused being good with being naive. They have mistaken self-sacrifice for self-respect. They have surrendered their power in the name of peace. This is the painful truth. Goodness without strength becomes its own punishment. Kindness without boundaries becomes an invitation to predators. Selflessness without wisdom becomes self-destruction. The world does not reward virtue for virtue's sake. It responds to power, to boundaries, to the quiet force of a person who knows exactly where their goodness ends and their self-protection begins. Nietzsche's insight cuts to our core. I teach you the Overman. Man is something that shall be overcome. We must evolve beyond simplistic moral frameworks that leave us vulnerable. This is not a call to abandon your goodness. It is an invitation to transform it, to forge it in the fire of awareness, to wield it with the precision of a master rather than the indiscriminate generosity of a servant. The master of goodness chooses when to give. The servant of goodness feels compelled to give until nothing remains. One operates from freedom, the other from invisible chains. Perhaps you recognize yourself in these words. Perhaps you've been wondering why your heart keeps breaking against the hard edges of a world that seems designed to exploit the best in you. The answer lies not in becoming less good, but in becoming more aware. In developing what Nietzsche called the will to power, not domination over others, but mastery over yourself. Your goodness needs guardians. It needs boundaries, like a garden needs walls. Without them, anyone can enter and take what you've cultivated. With them, you decide who receives your gifts. Consider the mirror of water. It gives perfect reflection, yet cannot be grasped. It nourishes life, but can also drown those who underestimate its power. It yields to force yet carves canyons through stone. This is the paradox of enlightened goodness. It appears soft but contains immense strength. It gives freely but never at its own expense. It forgives but never forgets the lesson. The first transformation begins with recognition. You must see clearly how your unexamined virtue has created patterns of loss in your life. How your goodness has become a hiding place rather than a conscious choice. Notice how you abandon yourself in the name of helping others. How you silence your needs to keep peace. How you accept less than you deserve because you fear appearing selfish. These are not acts of goodness. They are acts of fear disguised as virtue. True goodness never requires self-betrayal. It never demands that you become less so that others can become more. The noble soul has reverence for itself, Nietzsche wrote. This self-reverence is not egotism. It is the foundation of authentic virtue, the understanding that you cannot truly serve from an empty vessel. The second transformation involves reclaiming your power. This means acknowledging that every act of giving is also a choice. Every sacrifice has a cost. Every yes to others contains a potential no to yourself. Power is not the opposite of goodness. It is its necessary complement. Without power, goodness becomes martyrdom. Without goodness, power becomes tyranny. Together, they create something revolutionary, conscious virtue. You must learn to stand in the fire of others' disapproval, to bear the discomfort of setting limits, to weather the storm of being called selfish by those who have grown accustomed to your selflessness. This is where many good people falter. They cannot bear the weight of disappointing others. They would rather disappoint themselves 1,000 times than face the momentary pain of saying, "No." But consider the ocean. It gives life to countless creatures, yet it never apologizes for its tides. It provides boundless resources, yet it demands respect. It is both nurturing and destructive, gentle and fierce. The third transformation requires developing discernment. Not everyone deserves your goodness. Not every request merits your sacrifice. Not every relationship justifies your investment. Discernment asks, does this person value what I give? Does this exchange honor both of us? Am I giving from fullness or from fear? Is my goodness being respected or exploited? This may feel foreign at first, even cold. You've been trained to believe that true goodness doesn't discriminate, that love means unlimited access, that boundaries indicate a lack of compassion. These beliefs have led good people to ruin throughout history. They have created perfect victims, individuals so afraid of being seen as selfish that they accept any treatment, no matter how destructive. The great epics of our life come when we gain the courage to rechristen our evil as our best, Nietzsche wrote. What if your selfishness is actually self-preservation? What if your coldness is actually clarity? The shadows within you, the parts that want to protect, to withhold, to demand fair treatment, are not moral failings. They are essential aspects of a complete human being navigating a complex world. The fourth transformation involves strategic goodness. This means understanding that when and how you give matters as much as what you give. That timing and context can transform the same act from wisdom to folly. Strategic goodness recognizes that helping someone avoid necessary pain often hurts them more in the long run. That rescuing others from the consequences of their actions prevents their growth. It acknowledges that sometimes the kindest word is no. That the most generous act is refusing to enable harmful patterns. That true compassion sometimes looks like walking away. Consider fire. It provides warmth and light, cooks our food, and forges our tools. But uncontained, it destroys everything in its path. Your goodness requires similar containment to be truly beneficial. When you become strategic with your virtue, something remarkable happens. The world begins to respond differently. Those who once took you for granted approach with new respect. Those who exploited your kindness keep their distance. This is not manipulation. It is the natural order reasserting itself. Nature rewards strength and respects boundaries. When your goodness becomes a choice rather than a compulsion, it gains power. Watch how people react when you stop being available at all hours. when you charge what you're worth, when you express your needs clearly, when you refuse to accept disrespect in exchange for belonging. Some will fall away. Let them go. They were never there for your goodness, only for what they could take from it. Others will adapt, discovering that relating to you as an equal brings deeper connection. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly, Nietzsche observed. As you reclaim your power, some will resent the mirror you become. Your boundaries will offend those who benefited from their absence. This discomfort is necessary. It is the growing pain of authentic goodness finding its proper place in your life, not as your master, but as your chosen expression, not as your weakness, but as your strength. If this message resonates with something deep inside you, that part that has always known your goodness deserves better, stay with us. Subscribe to continue exploring the wisdom that conventional thinking fears to acknowledge. The final transformation is perhaps the most profound, integrating shadow and light. Embracing the fullness of your nature, both your capacity for compassion and your capacity for power. This integration doesn't mean becoming less good. It means becoming more whole. It means recognizing that your darkness contains wisdom and your light contains naivety. That both require the other to be complete. The truly good person is not purely gentle. They are fierce in their protection of what matters. They are clear about their worth. They give from choice rather than obligation. They love without losing themselves. They understand what Nietzsche meant when he wrote, "I am a law only for my kind. I am no law for all." Your goodness need not conform to others' expectations. It must only be true to your highest understanding. In the end, good people lose only when they refuse to evolve. When they cling to a child's understanding of virtue in an adult's world. When they mistake weakness for kindness and boundaries for cruelty. Your goodness is too precious to be squandered, too valuable to be exploited, too important to be separated from your power. It deserves the protection of your full, integrated humanity. Remember, the world needs your goodness. But it needs your goodness backed by strength, your compassion guided by wisdom, your giving protected by boundaries. This is how good people finally win. Not by becoming less good, but by becoming more complete. Not by hardening their hearts, but by awakening their spines. Not by abandoning virtue, but by transforming it into something unbreakable.